I would say not to the other industries, but technology is probably my major focus, I would say. I really enjoy working on software companies and some of the complex accounting issues that come along with them.
This video is proudly sponsored by Chapman University's Archibald College of Business and Economics, located in beautiful sunny Southern California. Are you thinking about pursuing a master's in accounting? Chapman's MSA program is tailored for ambitious professionals like you. With intimate class size and a collaborative atmosphere, you will receive personalized attention from world-class faculty who bring extensive industry expertise to the classroom. Enhance your accounting skills, fulfill CPA license requirements, and elevate your career with Chapman's flexible MSA program. Discover more and apply today at chapman.edu/MSA. Hello, we have a special guest today, Hillary, Assurance Manager at CohnReznick. Hillary, thank you so much for being on my podcast today. How are you doing?
Doing well, thanks. Thanks for having me, Rosie. I'm happy to be here.
I'm so excited. So we met at the is that the Woman Networking Holiday event?
Yes, through the Mass CPAs.
Yes. And I was like, I think I talked to you throughout the whole evening.
We clicked right away.
I know, right? It was amazing. So I'm so excited to have you on my podcast. First and foremost, before we dive in your CPA journey, can you introduce a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. My name is Hillary Caplan Sefcik. I am an assurance manager at CohnReznick. I am originally from Rockville, Maryland, right outside of DC. Went to college in Boston and stayed ever since. Prior to CohnReznick, I was at Grant Thornton, which I'm sure we'll dig into my career journey, and have been at CohnReznick for almost 7 years now. And at CohnReznick, I am on the audit side. I focus mostly on technology, life sciences, and manufacturing clients.
Technology, there's a hot industry there at this time.
I would say not to the other industries, but technology is probably my major focus, I would say. I really enjoy working on software companies and some of the complex accounting issues that come along with them.
Yeah. Wow, you are an auditor, and I was an auditor for 1 year only. 1 year only. Count. But before we go a little bit further in your career, let's go back from very beginning when you started in college. Why did you even go with accounting?
So if you don't mind, I'm going to take it back even to before college. So growing up, I thought it's funny being on a podcast now. This is my first podcast, that I was going to be a broadcast journalist. I wanted to study journalism. I wanted to be a TV news anchor. I had, it was an internship basically in middle school and high school where I worked at Channel 9 News in Washington, D.C. And that was the plan. And then I realized, okay, I'm not going to just appear unless I create a podcast like you, Rosie. I'm not going to just appear on camera. And then it takes a lot of writing. And so an opportunity arose at my high school where in your senior year, you can take a class at the local community college. And so my dad just encouraged me and said, Hillary, try accounting. I mean, he started his career in accounting and said, just try it. And I loved it. It just made sense to me. I was like, wow, this debits and credits thing I'm into. And so from there, that's really what changed everything, where I said, okay, I'm not really going to go the broadcast journalism route. I'm going to study accounting in college. And so with that, I applied to the business schools in college and ended up at Boston University and started my journey studying accounting there.
It's so funny how you start from completely different direction in accounting when you were in high school, and then now you are like an accountant.
Totally. Well, it's funny, and I think part of the reason we clicked was because we're both extroverts, we're outgoing, we like to chat, and I think some of the stereotypes that come along with accountants, CPAs is, oh, you're very quiet, you're very reserved, you kind of just crunch the numbers. And I'll say throughout my career that having the ability to connect with others and the ability to write memos and other items really has benefited me. I mean, the ability to connect with my clients, connect with my teams. You're not just sitting alone and working on numbers all day. As a manager, I'm working with teams. And so those skills have really benefited me in the accounting career.
It's so true about working in audit. I remember when I worked in audit for only 1 year, but the teamwork was significantly important. It's so much. Literally, you communicate with your team constantly every hour or two, and then you write so many memos. I still remember, oh my God, this is a lot of writing.
Tax, you just stick to the numbers.
Yeah. Well, sometimes we have to write some probably respond to IRS, but not that many as you writing memos. It's a lot in audit. But I have to say that it was fun working in audit because you have a chance to travel to the client's office. You work with different levels within the company for the client in the client office. So
absolutely. And even internally, so externally, yes, I'm going to the client site, working with the client, but also working with the tax team internally. That's I'll keep the taxes. That's not my area of expertise. I like to think I know enough, but to work with the tax team to really provide just the best client service we can.
Yeah, I agree. And after you graduate from college, you work as an accounting intern for about a year at Dallas Capital Partners. And so is that like a private or like financial company?
Yes. So thanks for asking. So this was my real first. I'm trying to think. I think, yes, this was before my internship with Grant Thornton. This was my first real experience in the real world. Sure, I had jobs before working in an Italian ice shop, but I guess that's not true. I worked for Boston University, and that's how I got this job. Can I tell a quick story?
Yes, please. I love
So great. And I actually talk about this. We were talking about the article on networking that I spoken, and I talk about this more here, but long story short, I was working at Boston University as an orientation leader and tour guide for incoming students and their parents. And again, I just like to connect with people, and what this one incoming student and his father, I got talking, said I'm studying accounting, and lo and behold, he's the CEO at an asset-based lending firm. So it wasn't a public accounting firm, but an asset-based lending firm, and in the accounting department. And he said, let's get you an internship. And he almost created this role for me that I worked in the accounting department at this firm, and I was able to just really get experience with AP, AR, just starting out with cash reconciliations, kind of the basics in my career in accounting. So having that first experience, and I always shout out Andy that thanks for providing me that experience. And I did that. I loved it so much. I did it throughout the summer. And then even when I was back in classes at BU, I was doing it throughout the school year as well.
Wow. That was such a great connection.
It was. I'll say it's all about the connections. I mean, if we didn't meet at the networking event, we would have never met and be here today. So
exactly.
it very much is. And I think I'm finally getting to the point in my career where those connections, I mean, I've been having them for about 10 years now. And it's funny where these connections pop back up, whether it's a client referral or I can refer work to someone at a bank or an attorney I work with. So having the benefits of kind of that hard work earlier on in my career pay off now where I have this large network has been really nice.
I know. It significantly helps a lot in your career growth.
Yes.
Now I'm wondering, because you love that position so much, what made you decide to get an internship in Grant Thornton instead of staying there and continue to work?
Yeah, great question. So, I mean, people said to be successful, and I'll say at Salus, they were fully supportive of whatever I wanted to do in my career. They said, you're always welcome back, but do what you need to do. And just from my advisors in college and family and friends that I knew in accounting, they always said the best place to start your career is in public accounting. And almost 9 years later, I'm still here. So, yes. So, I mean, I like this analogy of public accounting where someone compared it to, well, two analogies. One is they compared it to an MBA. You just learn so much in your first couple of years. And then throughout, I mean, I'm still continually learning that it's just, you don't absorb this much and get to see so many different things in any other industry because you're servicing different clients. I didn't always just work on technology. I worked on not-for-profits and I worked on other types of jobs to learn what I like. And so they said it's not only like getting a master's degree, but it's also like it's an apprenticeship. You work your way up, you learn, you compile on what you've already learned, and you grow that way. So they said, by all means, do whatever you need to do. And so I thought the best place to start my career in accounting was with an internship at a public accounting firm.
That makes sense because I know when I was in college, and then people always say that you should go for public accounting first, and then if you do not like it, you can go to private. But at least you have a chance to look at a bigger picture in public accounting, because private accounting is more kind of like narrow because you focus on only one specific company in one specific industry.
Exactly.
So but I'm glad after almost 9 years you still stay in public accounting. So
Yes. I'm still here. So
that's great because I work in private for 5 years.
I remember you saying that. So you have that perspective.
Yes. But when I moved to public accounting, people always ask me, so do you consider to go back to private accounting? And I was like, well, I don't think so, because public accounting is a lot more fun. It's like different every day. Every year, even you work on the same client, every year is different.
Clients are growing, they're acquiring new companies, there's new issues, there's new accounting pronouncements, totally
different. So I think that's the fun of public accounting. Even we may have some kind of not fun side. We can talk about that later.
Yes.
So when you start your internship at Grant Thornton, my question for you is that, can you compare the internship in public accounting and internship in private accounting? How are they different?
No, great question. So, like I said, Andy, the CEO at this asset-based lending firm, I mean, day in and day out, they're not doing accounting. I mean, yes, accounting is a function of their business, but their goal is really providing loans for retail companies that may be going under. So the focus was not to learn accounting, but through that, I learned a lot of accounting. And I was one of maybe 2 interns. I think the other intern was in a different department, and they did a great job of creating almost like a program for us. It was, again, 2 interns. It was a small field, but I was working mostly with the controller on a day-to-day basis. She was my go-to, but it was really interesting. They did such a great job in investing in me. And at that time, again, I just, with any internship you just want to absorb as much as you can, like a sponge, and take it all in. And so they created a program where I was doing the accounting work, but I also got to learn different aspects of the business. I got to go to a client site where they were doing a retail turnaround deal. I got to sit in on meetings with the attorneys underwriting these deals. So I got to see a lot. Where, as in public accounting, it's kind of a large pool. You come in, you're one of maybe 25, 30 interns, and they have a full-on internship program. It's not just kind of more of an individualized process. What do you want to learn? This is what you're going to learn. And both are great. I mean, I've thoroughly enjoyed both experiences, and interning at Grant Thornton, again, and I see it even with the interns here at CohnReznick today, specifically in a summer internship, it's having a lot of fun. I joke, I wish I could stay an intern forever. But, I mean, you have weekly activities with your fellow interns. You have group projects outside of the accounting work that you're doing. That it's almost like a case study that you're working on throughout the internship. And you're really just taking it all in. I mean, you're working on different teams, and even at CohnReznick today, we like to say, I like to give the work to interns that they would work on as a first year associate. Now, to be honest, I can't remember. I was probably doing cash reconciliations and those sorts of things as an intern and basic stuff. But I think having an internship just provides you a sneak peek of what you'll get working somewhere full time.
I think I remember my first internship experience in private accounting.
What was your experience like?
It was nervous. I was so nervous about talking to the client, and they put me in the account receivable department. And so I have to do collections. And so I send an email like, please, kindly, this is a friendly reminder that the balance is due, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
There's one specific client that she was so tough that I sent an email and she like, I already paid this. And then I sent another email saying that we didn't have any record that you already paid this. Can you please provide us the record?
Right.
And then she's like, no, I already paid it. You should have the record. And so I call her and she really screamed on the phone. And it was like my very first internship. And I didn't have any other experience.
Right.
So nervous. And she's like screaming on the phone like, I didn't pay it.
Oh my gosh.
All the emails. And I was like, oh my God, what?
I'm just doing my job. I'm just doing my job.
So I had to call my manager. And so she was so nice that she picked up the call and she asked me to be in the same room so I can learn how to talk to her.
Right.
Client. So I was so lucky to have that mentor during my very first internship. And so when she talked to the clients, she was so like my manager, she was so calming and then like try to understand the situation and talk to the client. And at the end, you know what? She did not pay it.
Oh my, that's usually the case. That is usually the case, I will tell you. Clients will sometimes say one thing and you know for a fact that it's not true. So
yeah, but it was, I think that was one of the best experience for me for my very first internship.
They threw you out there. And no, I mean, I remember being very nervous too. I mean, it's your first impression. You want to do a good job. And
yeah.
I have interns coming in here asking me what makes a good intern? What can I do to do a good job? And there's really no wrong answer. I mean, I always say, I mentioned soaking everything up like a sponge. I said a smile goes a long way and the willingness to learn. I mean, that's what you're here for. And I'll say the expectation, I doubt that manager expected you to know how to run a collections call and speak to a client. But I'll say the expectation is that you're willing to learn and that you really don't have that experience yet. And that's what you're here for. I remember my emails I would type, whether it was internally or externally, I would just read over for like 20 minutes. Not that I'm not proofreading and reading my emails now, but I'll say it's a quick scan and a send. But I was like, is this right? Is this right? But you learn and you get experience and you grow and you become more confident and less nervous.
Oh my God, talking about email. So I still remember when I started sending out emails and I was so panicked and I was like, what if I misspell anything?
Yep,
and then so yes, I spent probably like 20 minutes, 30 minutes to just reread over and over and over the email. And then the funny thing is that even after I sent it, I read it again.
I know. And then if you find one little mistake or whatever, not a misspelling, but whatever, then you're like going to beat yourself up on that. It's like, people just read it quickly and run through it and don't even notice half the time.
Oh my God. But it turns out that it's a great opportunity for you to learn the job and you will remember all the fun experience that you can sit here and talk just like how we talk to each other right now. It's just all the learning experience and no one going to judge you because you are new to the industry, to the position. And so just go out there, learn as much as you can. I think internship is as you said, like it's the best time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The stakes are a little lower, but again, you're learning. And I would say for someone looking to come into public accounting today, you'd be silly not to do an internship. I would say the pipeline we were just hiring interns. We just had our interviewing season come to a close, but for summer 2026. So not even just this summer, but the following summer. So the earlier you can get in and meet people, the better.
That's true. That's true. Meeting people, that's very important. That set you up for a lot easier path in the future. Absolutely. Yeah. So after the internship, you stay at Grant Thornton for only about 2 years.
Yep.
And then you move to your current firm. So in those 2 years, as a very beginner of the audit career, what did you learn the most?
Yeah, I think it was just really an extension from that internship. You start with the internship and then you take some time off and finish school. And I took some of the CPA exams, which I'm sure we'll talk about. And then it's like you get kind of thrown into the real world. And again, I think when you start as a first year, there's definitely a little bit higher expectations than an intern. I mean, you had that internship experience. There's no more fun Fridays where you're just doing something totally unrelated. And I learned a ton. I mean, I worked on some really interesting clients. Like I said, I've worked on all sorts of different industries and it really guided me to where I knew I wanted to spend my time. So at Grant Thornton, the training was amazing. And I think what I learned there really has helped me to this day. I think some of the opportunities they provided me with networking opportunities, with training opportunities, client interactions, and learning different clients. So, and public accounting is a small world. One of the clients that when I was working at Grant Thornton, I was not on the engagement team, but I knew who was working on this one client. And now it's a CohnReznick client, and I am the manager and have worked on that client for 6+ years at this point. So it's a small world, but I think what I learned really just allowed me to start at CohnReznick and really make an impact there as well.
So you mentioned about the CPA exam. Did you have an easy path to get the CPA license?
No matter what anyone says, I wouldn't say any path is easy. I mean, I'm very honest about this when I'll say I took 6 exams for 4 tests. So I had to take the reg test twice and FAR twice. So, but I mean, and you hear stories, okay, someone's taken it 12 times, but I wouldn't say I would say even if someone passed the exam on the first try on all 4 of them, I wouldn't say that's easy because I know how much hard work and dedication those people did too. So I wouldn't say any path is easy just by kind of hearing the result or the time frame that it took. But I guess comparatively, it didn't go on for 3 years. I think that's really tough. But going back to when I decided to study accounting, with my dad's background in business, he said, look, if you're going to go this career path, the number one thing to have is your CPA exam passed. And I'm lucky that I had his support in getting that done. I had the support of Grant Thornton too by providing the materials that I needed. Once I had the internship and accepted a full-time offer, they monetarily funded the CPA exam and was able to provide a lot of good introduction. But whether it takes you 100 times or 4 times, it's still not easy. And I don't want to undermine that. So I did have the nice opportunity between my internship and starting full-time that I had some time where I was not working. And it was during that time that I treated studying for the CPA exam like a full-time job. And I recognize not everyone has that luxury. I encourage it if you have the opportunity to do so, because you'll never get that time back. I think it is a lot more difficult once you start working full-time because both are a full-time job. So it's balancing that. So I think I had 3 pass before I started full-time. So it put me in a really good position to succeed. I think I took that last final one in the fall of whatever year I started and then found out I didn't pass, had my first busy season, took it in the spring and learned that I had passed. But it wasn't easy regardless. It was it wasn't as long. I mean, it takes time, but I don't want to say that any path is easy per se.
I agree with you about that. I want to emphasize another beauty of public accounting is that most CPA firms will support you with the CPA exam materials. I don't think it applies for private accounting because when I was in private, I had to pay out of my pocket. And I passed all 4 CPA sections when I was in private. And so I was like, oh, it's so expensive. If I didn't pass it, I had to repay it again.
Totally.
It's expensive.
It's a huge expense. Absolutely. Absolutely. I am very, very passionate about individuals in public accounting getting their exams passed early. And if it's not early, then at some point in their career. And I went as far as this past year creating a program at CohnReznick called the CPA Exam Study Community, because I had my dad came from is in the business world, came from public accounting and knew the importance of it. But someone that decides to study accounting and doesn't have a family member or a friend or a college professor or anyone else really kind of knowing what they're going through, it can feel very isolating. And it's like, these people don't understand what I need to do. I mean, even my husband today, we weren't together back then, but if I had to study for the CPA exam, like he just wouldn't understand like why that's so important. And so I want to be that person to be a resource for someone, to be, whether it's going to help organize a calendar of saying, I'm going to take this on this date, study these dates, I'm going to take the next one then, or just be a sounding board to vent about it because it's stressful. It's definitely a unique experience. Again, I think even friends I had they were like, okay, do what you got to do. And those friends that were there after the fact are still my friends, and those that aren't. There were some people that got left behind, but that was my focus, and I knew the importance of it. And to the extent I can help others that CohnReznick beyond, I'm happy to do so because I'm very, very passionate about it. I understand the performance, and I understand, while it's not easy for anyone, it does get more difficult as you move up in your career.